The Haunting is a 1963 release psychological horror directed by Robert Wise.
Yeah, it focuses on a house called Hill House that was built 90 years ago, in 1963 obviously, and has a bit of a gory history with the original owners dying in mysterious circumstances and the last owner hanging herself. The plot focuses on a doctor. We're not really told what he's a doctor of, but presumably psychology or something like that. He's asking the current owners if he can go and study the house and see if there's any supernatural goings on. To facilitate this, he invites some guests. He picks them based on their previous paranormal experience, with a view to them staying overnight for a few nights, just to see what happens. The guests are made up of Eleanor, who's a bit of a timid lady who doesn't really acknowledge her previous paranormal experience.
No.
She's recently lost her mother and is sleeping on the sofa in her sister's house, so isn't in a particularly good place.
Not really.
Yeah, and the other lady is Theo, who is psychic, and also there is the nephew of the current owners, who's just there because he's interested in when he inherits the house, basically, from his aunt, who's quite elderly.
Yeah.
And all he can see is dollar signs, basically.
As I said before, it was directed by Robert Wise. Robert Wise, mostly famous, strangely, he did a lot of musicals and a lot of kind of science fiction and horror. I mean, he did his most famous film was probably West Side Story, Sound of Music, and then he did things like this one, and The Day the Earth Stood Still, Andromeda Strain, the first Star Trek film. What was that called?
The Motion Picture.
The Motion Picture. That's the
Catchy
one.
title.
Indeed. And then the film stars, well, four of them. There's the Doctor, played by Richard Johnson. He was British actor. Did a few things, nothing major to shout home about. He was the Doctor in the Zombie Flesh Eaters. Zombie 2, the Fulci film. The first woman, Eleanor, is played by Julie Harris. She was an American actor. Mostly stage actress. She did a lot of TV and stage work. Few films. Probably her most famous film was East of Eden with James Dean. Claire Bloom, she was a British. There were two Brits in this. I think that was because they had to, union rights. And they filmed over here, so they had to have a couple of British actors. She was in The Spy That Came In From the Cold and Look Back in Anger, which is like one of the first kitchen sink dramas. Limelight, kind of Charlie Chaplin film that he did later in his life. Then the other young guy, who is the nephew of the inheritors of the house, he is played by Russ Tamblyn. Again, loads of stuff throughout his career, mostly famous also for West Side Story. And then recently he was in Django Unchained.
Was he?
Up in that, yep. And Twin Peaks. He was in the original Twin Peaks series, and he was also in the new one that's just the revival show, so he's still about. And also, there's also a small guest appearance from Lois Maxwell, who you'd all know as Miss Moneypenny from some of the James Bond films. And the film itself was actually based on a book by Shirley Jackson. It was originally called The Haunting of Hill House. The film's pretty stand out for its time. I mean, it's full of kind of crazy. I mean, I really like it because it's obviously there's no CGI. Way before computer effects start to take hold. And it's all in-camera stuff. So, there's lots of wide-angle lenses being used, strange cutting, strange angles, close-ups, quite weird stuff. And of course, you never see anything because sometimes what's in your head is scary. And this completely is that. You don't see anything in this film. And it is all just
sound effects and
knockings on the wall, typical haunted house stuff, but used to really great effect. And there are other things used in there. I mean, the house that they're in, although inside it was all shot in a set, they put like ceilings on all the rooms, which they don't usually do in sets, because obviously you need lights and things like that. But they put ceilings on all the sets, all the rooms, to make it feel more claustrophobic. And then outside, all the shots of the house on the outside are all used with infrared lenses to give it that kind of ethereal,
it does look strange, doesn't it? Yeah,
which is quite cool. The house itself is a British house called Ettingham Park. It's now Ettingham Park Hotel, and I quite like it because it doesn't feel like a British big house. If you look at the remake, which they remade this film in 1999, they used another place which looks like an English mansion, and I think the fact that this one doesn't look like an English mansion works because obviously it is set in America. Yeah, it's just I think it's really interesting. I mean, obviously if you're younger than we are. I mean, obviously we weren't alive when this film came out.
No.
But if you've grown up on things like Annabelle and Paranormal Activity, you might find it a little bit hammy at times, a little bit cliche. But I think if you can open your mind a bit and you like films that do something different or slightly more original to how they are today, then I think you can find something in it. And for me, it's terrifying. I've always found supernatural films.
Oh, definitely.
Scary.
Knockings
and whether you believe in the supernatural or not, I don't personally. I think that's why I find ghost films scary, because I don't personally believe in ghosts, but
exactly.
Never entirely sure.
I think if it was real, Most Haunted would have picked something up by now.
Yeah.
The amount of hours of footage they've shot, surely
true.
They would have got something on film.
Yes. Well, they do, don't they? It's just the cameraman chucking furniture
It's just
around,
lots of footage of them running away from nothing.
Exactly.
So,
but even so, if it's done well, if a scary film is done well, much like others like The Entity and The Changeling is another one.
Poltergeist
to a bit, yeah. I mean, if these films are done well, then they can be really scary, and they can definitely make you
shiver down your spine.
Keep the light on at night when you go to sleep. But you liked it?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, it was definitely has some creepy moments, and like you say, I think oftentimes in these films, what you don't see is more scary. The suggestion of what's happening behind the camera, or on the other side of the door, or whatever, is more creepy than seeing everything in your face.
Yeah, definitely.
And this definitely works. Yes, it's old. Yes, it's black and white, but it doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't make any difference.
No.
In fact, this is quite well. This is well known actually, because he specifically chose black and white because obviously you could film in colour in the 60s. He specifically chose black and white because he thought for a kind of ghost film, black and white really works. And in the 90s, there was, I can't remember who it was, but someone in the 90s who came along and decided to suddenly he was going to colorise black and white films.
Yeah.
And I know Scorsese kind of got behind it and said, no, don't do that. But I think Robert Wise in his contract, it was this film could only ever be shown in black and white. And so they were able to stop this being colorised, which is good, because colorising black and white is always a mistake.
Yeah, it's not really much point, is it?
Not really.
So if you want to watch it...
If you want to watch it, you can watch it. It's not that old. You can probably stream it. I'm sure you can stream it on places like Amazon, places like that. I've got it on DVD. It's just a UK version of the film. It's got a few special features. There's a commentary. The commentary actually sounds quite cool, because apparently there's a story from Russ Tamblyn about when they were filming over here, he went for a wander one day into a cemetery behind the house and had an experience not too unlike what was going on in the film. So... Okay. That's quite cool.
And as you can see, it's a 12, so you can watch it with all the family.
You can watch it with all your family. Indeed you can. On Halloween. Because this is my go-to Halloween film. Because it's scary.
Yeah. You can pick it up.
You can pick it up on Blu-ray. There's an American release. Apparently it's lost the gallery.
It's lost a couple of features, but it's got most of them. And apparently the picture is quite good on it. So if you're after an HD version, that would be the one to go for.
But that's US only.
It is, but it's region. It's not region locked or anything, so you could probably get it, reasonably cheap off eBay or Amazon or whatever.
So that's The Haunting.
Yep.
And we hope you enjoyed this video. And we're coming up to the end of October, so we've got one more Halloween film.
We have.
Horror film coming for you next week.
So yeah, if you like The Haunting, let us know in the comments. If you like the video, give us a like. Don't give us a dislike. We don't want those. And we'll see you next time.